Our meeting or not? Okay. Got it.
Oh,
Our meeting are now called to order. And we're gonna have our invocation by our Vice President, Tamara Norman.
can we, before we start that, can we have Ed give directions to everybody and then we'll start with you, Maud?
Okay, okay. Go ahead,
Okay.
Ed.
Hi, my name's Ed Felton. I'm helping just by hosting the Zoom meeting. And I'm not going to go over the agenda. I just want to say we want to make sure everybody can be heard loud and clear. So if you could keep yourself muted if you're not the speaker. We're going to spotlight speakers today so that, you know, we want to get as much of the human element as possible and feel like we're in a room together. So that's really it from me. And then those who will go over the agenda will give more of a sense of the mechanics of the meeting.
Okay, thank you, Ed. Okay, Tamara, you can do the invocation.
Ladies and gentlemen, and Father God, I would like to take this time to honor a great American hero, General Colin Powell, who passed away yesterday. He will go down in history as one of America's greatest people who just happened to be Black. So I'd like to honor him with a moment of silence. Thank you.
Amen. Okay. Is our Secretary Madeline? Is Madeline on? Madeline is supposed to bring the welcome.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you,
Yeah.
Madeline.
I don't, but you can't see me though, right?
I can't see you,
No.
but I hear you.
I don't know. My video thing doesn't have a red line through it, so I don't know why you can't see me, but you know what? That's okay with me. But everybody can hear, so I'm gonna go ahead. So good evening. Sorry you can't see me. Good evening and welcome to Meet the Candidates Night. It's sponsored by the Ellenville NAACP. And I'm gonna just start with a little bit of history. It's actually national history. So on August 22nd, 1964, and I'm doing this to just kind of set a tone here. On August 22nd, 1964, civil rights and voting rights activist Fannie Lou Hamer delivered one of the most famous speeches in voting rights history in this country. She had lived most of her life to that point, not knowing that she had been granted the right to vote by the US Constitution, if you can imagine that. And of course, she, along with other Black people in Mississippi, did not know due to the concealment of that fact from active concealment on the part of white supremacists in Mississippi. In her fight to secure the right to vote for herself and others, she endured, I can't even begin to tell you how many things she endured. Some of you, I'm sure, know the history. Scare tactics, violence. She even had to walk away from her job when the owner of the business gave her an ultimatum to withdraw her voter registration or leave. Of course, she left. Hamer related an incident where police had stopped a bus that she was on of voter registration volunteers. They were taken to a police station. The officers, aided by prisoners, unleashed a brutal beating on Fannie Lou Hamer. And this is a quote: "They beat me till my body was hard, till I couldn't bend my fingers or get up when they told me to. That's how I got this blood clot in my left eye. The sight's nearly gone now. And my kidney was injured from the blows they gave me in the back." End quote. So I'm not describing that, for its graphic nature or for sympathy or pity. Fannie Lou Hamer was well able to take care of herself. But I do relate that story now to show the sacrifices that so many have made to secure the right to vote. So we should consider voting a privilege, and it is our obligation if we want to preserve our democracy, a democracy that we well know is under threat. If the last decade has taught us anything, it is the importance of having an informed electorate. In a time when lies become truth, fake becomes real, social media manipulates our every move if we let it. we're sort of duty bound to be informed as possible on issues and on the values, philosophies, and records of those we put into public office. To that end, the NAACP has, since its leadership under our president, Maud Bruce, and this is for the past 36 years, has held a candidates night, sometimes twice a year, because there are generally 2 elections. And the purpose is to provide information to the voting public. This is a nonpartisan event, and it provides an opportunity to meet, to listen to, and to question candidates who will fill local, county, state, and national offices. Fannie Lou Hamer's iconic statement, "I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired," should be our mantra today. And we should do something about that if we're sick and tired. So we can start by becoming informed voters. I mean, we want people to vote, but we also want people to be informed voters. And so that is the purpose of tonight's Meet the Candidates program. Thank you. Sorry you can't see me.
Thank you, Madeline.
You're welcome.
Ed, could you put the agenda up?
Sure, I'll do that right now.
Okay. Okay. Our topic tonight is Meet the Candidate Night. And as Madeline has explained to everyone, that the NAACP has 2 Meet the Candidate Nights a year. We have the one in October and we have one in May. The Board of Education Meet the Candidate Night. And we did have that Meet the Candidate Night in May of this year. So tonight, our moderator is Gammy Singer. She's the treasurer and education chair of the Ellenville NAACP. And she will give you the direction of how the candidate will come to present themselves tonight. And that I wanted Ed to put up the agenda so the candidates could see their open statement, how many minutes they have. Okay, Gammy, you're on.
All right. Whoa, I hear a echo.
Oh, I'm not muted, but can we maybe take down can we still see everybody? We can see everybody
Okay,
when they're
okay,
talking,
Ed,
right?
you can take down the agenda so we can see the other people. Okay.
Okay, this is Gammy Singer. Can you hear me without the echo now? All right. It says Georgiana Singer, but I go by my nickname. All right, we're going to have the open or introductory statements from the candidates, and we're going to get to that right away. And they'll have 2 minutes to give their presentation, including their name and, of course, the office they're running for. And the purpose is to get to know you. We want to know about the politics, of course, but it's also nice to get to know a little something about the candidates, to make connection with the human part of you. So I want you to add into your introduction, and it doesn't have to be long. What category, when you were in high school, do you think you are closest to? Now I had to write backwards, so you have to give me props for this. Were you a nerd? Were you a hottie?
Upside down. Turn it over.
Were
It's
you a
upside
jock?
down.
No,
It's upside
not.
down.
No, it's not. I see it. Do you all see it? Is it not right side up?
It's right
It's
side
mirror
up,
image.
but it's
Huh?
mirrored
Mirror
because we're
image.
seeing an actual impression of you, but you're seeing a mirror image of yourself. So it's you just keep going.
I can read it.
Yeah, it makes
We
sense.
see it, but it's upside down.
Oh, there you go.
That
I'm
works.
writing it in.
Okay.
That works. Okay. A nerd, a hottie, a jock, a class clown, an intellectual, or a rebel. Okay, you have 2 minutes, and can we start with the judges? Kevin, Bryant? Is Kevin on?
That's in addition to their little 2-minute thing,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yes. Okay, is David here? Do you guys, would you unmute if you are?
I am here, Gabby. Thank you.
Who's that?
That's David Gandon.
Okay, David, you want to go? Oh, Christine, are you there?
I am here and ready to time. I will give
Okay.
I'll give a 30-second warning, and then you'll know you have 30 seconds to finish it up, and I'll try to be not too intrusive. Thanks.
That's fine, understood. Okay, thank you. I am David Gandon. I am running to be a Supreme Court Justice on the State Supreme Court in the 3rd Judicial District. That is a 7-county district that covers Rensselaer, Albany, Schoharie, Greene, Columbia, Ulster, and Sullivan counties. I live in the town of Gardner. I am married. I have 4 children, ages 10, 11, 13, and 14. I currently work for a Supreme Court Justice. If you're elected to the Supreme Court in New York State, you can make 2 personal appointments, a secretary and a personal attorney. I'm the personal attorney to Maria Rosa, a Supreme Court Justice who currently sits in Dutchess County. To answer your question, it's a hard one. I don't really believe in labels, but I would say I straddled the fence between intellectual and rebel. I always did well academically, but there was always a part of me that refused to accept the status quo or to say things are like this because they have to be that way. I think I always had a sense of justice or injustice. And when I felt things weren't fair from the time I was a young child, it bothered me. And I see that in my own 10-year-old. I think he inherited that trait. I am running for this. First of all, thank you for having this forum. I know I called Maud a year ago, or it seems like forever ago. And
I
I'm
don't,
sorry.
somebody mute.
Okay. I think it's important that the electorate is informed. I decided to undertake this because I believe in public service and I believe in the need for a qualified judiciary. And I thought my background and sensibility and temperament would suit me for the position. It's a position of tremendous authority. And I think it's important to get people in that position who
30 seconds.
who have the intellectual capacity, as well as the ability to recognize that everybody has to be treated with dignity and respect and have access to the justice system and should get their day in court. Look, it's a short time, 2 minutes. I do have a website, gandonforjudge.com. So that has a lot more information about my background. Please check it out. You can ask me in the question forum or otherwise, I'm happy to answer your questions. Thank you for this opportunity to be here.
Okay, thank you. And let me say to everyone, unless you're speaking, please mute your audio, okay? Because we don't want all the background noises, and we don't want to hear you panting when some candidate comes on that you think is cute, things like that. Okay, so is our other Supreme Court judge here? How about the other judges? Okay, I'm going to let David. I'm going to let the questions be open to everybody. So
Sarah Rakoff is here. Ulster County Family Court Judge Sarah Rakoff is here.
Oh, okay. Have you heard all of the?
Yes.
You get 2 minutes to speak?
Yes.
Okay.
And I also got the words that I'm not sure which one I'm going to pick yet.
Oh, okay. All right. Go ahead, please.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. My name's Sarah Rakoff. I'm running for Ulster County Family Court Judge. I was born and raised in Woodstock, New York. I now live in the town of St. Remy, which is in the town of Esopus. I am a prior town chair of the Esopus Democratic Committee. I am a prior member of that committee. I have worked in Ulster County Family Court for the majority of my career, 16 years in private practice, representing both adults and children. The adults that I represented mostly were indigent adults that were assigned to me. And then, of course, the children were assigned to me as well. I think the 16 years that I operated a private practice, the most rewarding work was working with the children. It brought you closest to actually being part of the decision-making process. Your job was to bring the position of the child to the court so that the child didn't have to come themselves, and that hopefully the parents would leave the child out of the fight between them and just, have their child's needs and wants represented by myself and others who take those cases. I'm trying to think of these. On any given day, I probably could have been any of these names. But I think I would have to go similar to Dave, which was, I would go more nerd and rebel. I don't know how those go together, but that's sort of how I was. I was very studious and very smart. I worked really hard in school.
30 seconds.
But I also got in trouble sometimes. I tell my kids that I represented that my parents sent me off to boarding school instead of, bringing a PINS petition against me. And my privilege that I was born into allowed for that. But most of the children that I represented didn't have that option. So, I have born and raised in this county, given a lot of my time back to the county is taught to me by my parents. And I really want to bring my empathy and commitment to support to the bench. Thanks.
Okay. And since the judges are not supposed to give any political opinions, I'm going to open up the questions for the judges, and they may be excused if they wish, or they may leave. They may leave, or they may stay if they wish. Okay, if that's all right with the judges.
It's fine.
All right.
Okay, we're going to open it up to the public, to all the participants. Now, there are two ways you can do it. You can either write in the chat your question and we can call on you, or where it says reactions, you can do your raise hand sign and be called upon. Okay. While you're doing that, I'll throw out one question for both judges. What are your thoughts about restorative justice? Anybody want to answer?
I don't know, that skirts the line of what we can answer, but I can say that in family court, we rely on it a lot because a lot of the cases that might have in the past come to our court don't. Because the restorative justice process is worked in the school or through probation, and or through diversion, which is a program of probation that keeps kids out of family court. I think that for family court, we don't see exactly how it works, but we know it is working because we have less cases.
Okay, thank you. David?
Yeah, I was a criminal defense attorney for 10 years and a full-time public defender in Brooklyn for 7 years. And through that experience, I can say that one-size-fits-all sentencing is not productive, helpful, or necessarily the best way to effectuate justice. Look, every individual comes into a courtroom, particularly in a criminal context. Look, their case is unique. The circumstances are as extreme as we can get in our society. I mean, they are facing literally being put in a cage for potentially decades on edge. And it doesn't get more severe than that. So I think every case deserves the individual attention to know who is this human being, what is their background, what is this really about, and what is the best way. There's a lot of functions of sentencing. Yes, retribution is one, but so is rehabilitation. So I think the more options that are on the table for a judge, the better served the public and our justice system is.
Thank you.
I see Kevin Bryan is here, and maybe he could have an opportunity. He's running for Supreme Court in the Third Judicial. I see he's just arrived, Gammy.
Okay. Kevin, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can everyone hear me?
Yes. Kevin, we had asked the judges to have a 2-minute introduction where you tell us who you are and what you're running for, and to answer the question which category you most fit in, so we get to know a little bit of you. Is this right now?
No,
You know
The other
what?
way?
now it is good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, you have enough options in there that I'm sure I easily fit in a couple of them. The question
Okay.
is, I guess the real challenge is to find the one that doesn't apply. Hello, everyone.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kevin Bryant. I am a Ulster County resident, living outside of Kingston, raised in Kingston, raised initially in St. Clara's Church, and have stayed locally all of my life. I've practiced as a public servant since the beginning of my law career, and I have looked at every individual that I've represented or prosecuted, defended in civil or criminal cases, as someone that could be me. And based on that perspective, I wanted to treat everyone the way I believe everyone should be treated, and that's the way I'm going to be on the bench. I believe my literature was provided, and it gives people an in-depth understanding of my background, as well as my philosophy, but be assured that I believe everyone is entitled to sound and balanced right belief from the very beginning and every day, no matter what capacity I serve. That's the approach, the opportunity. I want to apologize to everyone for being late. I'm obviously trying to satisfy as many events as I possibly can. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to
30
everyone.
seconds.
And I am available to answer whatever questions you may have.
Okay. I asked the first question about what are your thoughts about restorative justice?
Everybody still here?
The judges are.
I'm sorry, say it again.
What are your thoughts about restorative justice? Did you hear me?
Can you
I think we're losing him.
get the higher elevation?
Okay.
Okay, so I have served as a public defender. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear? Can you hear me?
It says Kevin's iPhone network bandwidth is low. Okay, we've lost
Can you hear me?
him.
Not well.
Yeah. We can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me.
Now you can.
Okay, so to the side. So I have served as an assistant public defender in my career for about 18 years, part of which includes representing parolees for 5. I believe that there needs to be as many options as possible, and rehabilitation is extremely important, and as well as making people whole who have been the victims. But you can't pigeonhole everyone and believe that incarceration is the only answer, because people can be rehabilitated. And as a public defender, I have utilized whatever resources were available to assure that the people that I've represented would get a fair shot and be treated fairly. And if they had underlying needs that actually had to be addressed, that is something that should be encouraged as well. But yes, we we need a system that actually rehabilitates. If we expect recidivism to be a declining aspect of our legal system, we need to assure that we're providing all of the options available to achieve it.
All right, thank you. Do we have any other questions from the participants? Any questions for the judges? Well, if that's the case, then judges, thank you for coming. Thank you for presenting yourselves, and we wish you all good luck. If you want to stay on, you're welcome to do so. If not,
Madam
have a good
Moderator, I
night.
have a question.
Sure,
This is Reverend Gary Fuller speaking,
sure.
and I want to thank all the candidates for making themselves available. I have a question for the family court candidate. In these days and times, we have a myriad of problems faced by our children, many of which these kinds of problems we've never seen before. And so I want, if I could just kind of coin a phrase, that we have to take a look at the family court as not your grandfather's family court anymore. And what are your thought processes as how the family court can be innovative to meet these new challenges, keeping into mind that we do have to hold families and children accountable and to bring them justice as well?
Well, I think one of the things that has come up most recently in my work in family court, I do work for one of the judges there now, is how do we handle LGBTQ children? How do we handle them in terms of foster care placement? And how do we make sure that we're putting children someplace that's safe? And I think that carries over to a variety of different variety of children from different backgrounds, because I think what we haven't done in the past, and we probably could do better, is really holding the Department of Social Services to finding homes for children that they're going to be comfortable in. And that may, for, a young woman, that may be, 2 women. Or that may be for a young, African-American man, that may be a home that has a strong African-American male figure in that home. I don't think we do a very good job at promoting foster care as an avenue for people. My experience is the majority of the foster care parents that I've come in contact with are white. And we do not do a good enough job in in encouraging people from different backgrounds to come in and be foster parents. And I think that as being able to see that problem and hopefully help by talking to the Commissioner of Social Services, maybe attending trainings for caseworkers, things like that, as a judge, I would be able to sort of pursue trying to make that system better for kids. It's awful to be taken out of your home and then placed in a home where nobody looks like you, or nobody's like you, or doesn't have the same background or feelings that you might have. And here we say, kids, go off and be prosperous while your parents are working on their issues. I don't think that's probably a very good way to go about it. So I think if we could diversify our foster care system and just making sure our caseworkers are attuned to the issues that face our children, both, in sexuality, in race, in just feeling like they belong. I think as a judge, holding people to task on those issues is something that I could do.
Thank you for your thoughtful answer. If I may, if I'm allowed to do a follow-up, I'd certainly like to. What kind
Go
of
ahead.
assurances can you give to us as a family court judge that you will not be co-opted by the "this is how we've always done it" mentality?
Yeah, I've heard that a lot throughout my life, and I've never signed on to that mentality. People told me, oh, you're gonna go be a lawyer? Sure. No, no, you're not. Or, sometimes I didn't have the right grades, I didn't have the right look, I didn't have the right anything for whatever it was I was trying to do. And I just said, no, that's not how this is going to go. So I can't see these people really trying, I could see them trying to push me over or co-opt me, as you say, but, one of the things that I pride myself is, having a mind of my own. And if you talk to my father, you would tell him that I've had that since I was about 5 years old, and it's never going to go away. And I know a lot of these people, and I know the Commissioner of Social Services, and I've worked with these people. So I don't think that they think that they're going to be able to pull me in and say, this is just what we do. The judge I work for doesn't put up with that, and I don't think I will either.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
All right.
I'm going to interrupt for a second. We didn't make clear, and therefore I didn't do anything about timing, but the answers we're hoping will be a minute. And I'll give a high sign. You were under it. It's okay, but I just want to give people a fair warning. So
Thank you.
great.
Okay. Now we're going to move on. Can we go to the county offices? Maud, who do we have for county offices? Do you know? Unmute.
We got Kelly,
Okay.
and I haven't seen, we got Kelly and who's the other one?
Craig Lopez.
Craig Lopez.
And
Yeah.
Chris,
And I don't know if John Gavaris is on or not, but we got 3.
and Chris.
John is not on, actually. John has a Ways and Means Committee at the moment.
He always got
Yeah.
something.
So he's got county obligations at the moment. That's actually, I want to apologize for not having my camera on because I'm juggling between 2 phones because I also have county obligations, but I'm zooming in tonight because I didn't want to miss this Meet the Candidates. Yeah. So I have I'm kind of in between phones, so you're not going to see my face, but I'm
That's
here.
Chris. Is that Chris?
This is Craig Lopez.
Oh,
Okay.
Craig. Oh, okay, Craig. Now, Chris, is Chris on?
Yes, I'm here for District 21.
Okay.
Okay, how about let's have Kelly, then we can have Chris, and who's the last one?
That'll be me, Craig Lopez.
Craig Lopez.
Okay, and then Craig, okay?
Mhm.
All right, Kelly, you have the floor.
Okay.
2 minutes, and which category do you most align with? And
All right, I'm
Okay.
going to go with most align with because I, like everyone else so far, has fit into a little bit of all of them. But I'll tell you a quick story that you can guess where I fit in. In kindergarten, I decided that recess was too short. I discussed it with the teacher. She disagreed. So I talked to my friends about hiding underneath the merry-go-round when everybody else went in to class. We got caught and punished, but it was worth the risk, I think. She took everything I said after that more seriously.
okay, rebel.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So my name is Kelly Palinkas Greer. I'm running for Ulster County Legislature. The reason I'm running is because I believe that our community is strong and hardworking, but nobody can do it alone. We all need help. Our older adults here are largely isolated. We're the southern tip of the county. And although there are some services available, there are certainly not enough. And because communication isn't great and navigating the county sites is difficult, there are services that we don't even know about that we have. So I'm hoping to not only bring access to more services, programs, and opportunities to our people,
30 seconds.
but I'd also like to communicate the services that we have better so that we know what to do. Thank you.
Okay, and next we have, who did I say? Chris?
Chris.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. My name is Councilman Chris Hewitt. I am on the town board in the town of Rochester. I'm serving my 4th year right now, and I was a former chair of the Environmental Commission. I helped with the Natural Heritage Plan, the Natural Resource Inventory, and the Open Space Inventory over the last couple of decades, or since 2004. And now I'm hoping to work with the county legislature and bring my passion for keeping money local and strengthening the economy to the county level. I believe in economic justice and having abundance for all, sharing and caring for people in our communities, embracing and engaging our neighbors. I believe in the creation and protection of new parks and farms. And I'm in the process of creating a 34-acre park in Kerhonkson that will be a watershed nature trail, self-guided. I believe in water justice, and that because water is life, we should protect our local waterways, the Rondout, Wallkill, Esopus, clean them up, and also provide for clean, fresh drinking water for all of our constituents. I believe that we should strengthen our infrastructure, particularly our rail trails and our pedestrian amenities, so that we can have walkable villages again. I hope that people can vote for me for District 21, which is one part of the town of Wawarsing, and most of my district is in Kerhonkson and Accord, town of Rochester.
30 seconds.
So I would say, if you want to learn more about me, you could check out rochesterdemocrats.org/Hewitt, Hewitt. And I always enjoyed straddling different cliques in high school because I didn't like the cliques that would develop. So I was friends with nerds, hotties, jocks, class clowns, intellectuals, and rebels. But in 9th grade, I won the class clown award. And in 12th grade, I got most artistic. So I would say I am both an activist rebel and also an intellectual. Thank you.
Okay. All right. And the last one is
Greg,
where is
look,
he?
I'm right here.
Lopez, yes.
Yeah, I'm the one without the camera on it at the moment.
Okay.
Yep. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I thank you, Maud and NAACP, for this opportunity. I always enjoy coming and chatting with you for a bit. My name is Craig Lopez. I'm an Ulster County legislator. I represent District 14. That includes the towns of Shongabin and Wawarsing. I'm a lifelong resident of Pine Bush and recently built a house in Walker Valley where I reside with my wife, Lourdes, and 3.5-year-old twin boys. I was elected in 2012. I'm currently serving my 5th term and running for a 6th term. I serve as chairman of the Public Health and Social Services Committee that oversees a $147 million budget and have done so for about 7 years now under both Republican and Democrat leadership. And I'm currently the minority whip of the Republican caucus. Let's see a little more about me. I currently serve on the Resource Center for Accessible Living board of directors. It's an organization that provides services and support for people with disabilities. I'm vice chairman of the Ellenville Hospital Foundation Board and serve under Bill Brown, the chairman. And I'm also a member of the Ellenville Hospital Board of Directors.
30 seconds.
Okay, quickly. Let me see. The county's been in pretty good shape over my past 5 terms. We've lowered the property tax levy 9 consecutive years since I've been there. We've reduced government spending for 9 consecutive years without compromising vital services to the county. And this past year in particular, although it wasn't an easy one for us, with making some tough choices, we turned an anticipated $30 million deficit into an almost $18 million surplus. So, all right, I think I got all of that. And as far as who I would identify best with in high school, I was known for my athletic ability. I was a sportsman.
Time.
I'm sorry?
Okay, it's time.
Oh.
You can get that in later. He used to be a jock. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Of those 3 candidates, do we have any questions for them?
Yes, I have a question the same question for all three. First, the incumbent, Lopez. What changes have you made since you've been in office?
Oh, geez. Yeah, there's been a number of things. Look, I'm a huge supporter of our first responders. And I've served on the fire advisory board for 6 years. I've sponsored legislation for the Walker Valley Fire Company training facility with grants for nearly $100,000 over the past 10 years. This facility is for use
30 seconds.
of neighboring fire companies as well at no cost. And that's why this was important to me, kind of offset those maintenance costs for them so they can continue to allow other fire departments to use it free of charge. And I think that that's made a big difference for the Walker Valley Fire Department and our fire departments as a whole throughout Ulster County.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Chris and Kelly, what changes will you make if you get elected to the county legislature?
Chris, do you want to go first?
Sure. Thanks, Kelly. I think I would bring some of the progress I've made on the town level to the county, including a best value procurement policy, in order to not only go with the lowest responsible bidder and the cheapest price on bids all the time, but value things like, is it locally owned companies? Are there BIPOC communities participating in those companies? Are there women? And how can we judge companies and give them contracts of large money based on what types of companies we're working
30
with?
seconds.
So that would be best value. And then continuing with pocket parks like the 34-acre park that we're creating in Kerhonkson to educate people about our watershed, and also protect natural heritage and the farmland and agritourism in the Rondout Valley.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, I'd like to say 1 minute isn't enough, but access to programs and services is the most important thing to me in our area. We're rural, we're at the southern tip, we're forgotten about. I hear the Walker Valley Fire Department pager go off and there are way too many overdoses. I'm sure the same for Warsing. Programs are needed. Pat Ryan, Ellenville Hospital, the Sheriff's Department are
30
all
seconds.
on their way and doing a really good job, but we need more, and I will be there to support everything that they do.
Okay, I have another question for Kelly. Creating accessible programs for all residents. What kind of programs? Kelly.
Sure. Yeah, no, I know. I'm trying to figure out how to say that in a minute. To make it short, basically whatever we need. My husband has Parkinson's disease. The closest programs are in Kingston. That's an hour away. My mother has problems with her eyesight. She no longer drives. People like my mother and my husband without close family here have no accessible programs. Most of the programs that our
30
county
seconds.
provides are an hour away. We need things that are closer.
Okay.
Okay.
That leads me into a question for the incumbents. The American Rescue Plan money, how is that going to be used? What are the plans for that?
I'm happy to share this. As was mentioned, we have an issue with mental health, and we have an issue with substance abuse, and they kind of coexist together. So what our executive did, he put together a mental health task force, which was comprised of a number of individuals throughout the county, to come up with a plan on how best to solve our mental health crisis.
30 seconds.
Oh, okay. Well, And anyway, the task force had recommended an actual brick and mortar treatment facility, and also a 4 to 8 bed respite short-term crisis center, all of which are going to be fully funded with $3.3 million put into the budget in order to make this happen, all from the proceeds of the American Rescue Plan.
Time.
Okay, that's one thing. You know, children, families, what's happening there? Where's the emphasis?
For children and families?
Yes.
Well, and I think that's an important question as well. See, now as we had to make some tough decisions in the legislature. When there was an anticipated $30 million deficit because of the loss of sales tax revenues, we had to cut programs, and we cut about $200,000 from programs, which included the UPAC and awareness and a handful of others that, of course, in the long run affect
30
children and families.
seconds.
So what I would like to see with the American Rescue Plan is to restore those programs to the full $200,000 that we had to pull back from, which in the long run will again, help fund those programs for families and children and the arts and entertainment, a number of.
Time.
Okay, listen, Christine, I'm going to extend the time limit because we aren't getting full answers. So let's don't time them, please, for their
Okay, we'll
responses.
just-
But I'll just ask that the responders try to keep it to a minimum because we have a lot to go and we have, other people to participate and we don't want to run out of time. So just, would you please be as brief as you can be, but give full answers to the questions.
May I
Okay?
answer that, Gammy?
Yes.
Great. As a town board member in the town of Rochester, we received $740,000 in American Rescue funding. The city of Kingston received 18.6 million and the county received 34 million. And in town of Rochester, we started spending a little bit of that money on recreation and outdoor gathering purposes, like a town park and playground. But I'm seeing a trend in the city of Kingston to spend that money on infrastructure, which I think is a mistake, because the first 3 criteria is supposed to help people, businesses, children, families, and the 4th criteria allows municipalities to spend on infrastructure. I think that certain infrastructure like outdoor recreation and gathering places is acceptable, but I want to make sure that social services, social programs are supported, rents, and even expenses that something like a universal basic income can cover.
Okay. It's true. If the infrastructure bill passes in Congress, that should be taken care of. So you're right. I think the emphasis should be where it's designated, and those are designated funds. So anybody else want to respond to that?
Sure, I'll respond. As far as families go, recently the Shangam Police Review Board determined that the largest percentage of calls that they had were domestic violence. So I'd like to see some of that money go into domestic violence programs for both the abuser and the abused.
Okay, you're right, because there's a higher incidence of things happening now. We have a hand up from Bodenhorn. I don't know the first name. Would you ask your question, please? And
Yeah,
would
can
you
you
tell
hear?
us
Thanks.
to whom you're asking?
It's addressed to the incumbents again, but it relates to Kelly's point. It's not just that there are a significant number of calls, but when the police chief was reviewing the statistics last year, this area is actually really pretty safe. And you have 6 or 7 cases of this, that, or the other thing. There were 68 calls into the police regarding domestic violence. So the proportion of domestic violence is huge. So with limited funds, my question to the incumbents would be, how have you tried to address this issue during your incumbency? And what do you see, especially given some more funding coming in, what do you see with your experience as the most productive way forward to try to reduce that? It's a really shocking statistic as far as I'm concerned. Thank you. I'm going to mute again.
Okay, to the incumbents, and I think the other candidates can also answer that as to what they would do. All right. So open to anybody who wants to answer that for the county offices.
Craig, you can answer because you're actually an incumbent. Lynn Archer is in my district right now and has endorsed me.
Okay. Anybody else?
Good.
I take it you have no answers for that?
I have an answer.
Good.
I've already said, since
I'll
I
let-
brought it up, so I'll let Craig answer.
Ken,
Like he having problems.
Yeah, it's spotty.
Yeah.
Craig I think is not coming in clear. Are you moving?
I can answer while that works itself out.
Okay.
In the town of Rochester, we have a constabulary, and so we put together a constable review committee, and there are three people on that committee. We're making progress toward analyzing which calls are police calls and which are sometimes domestic abuse or a call that can be handled by mediation or another expert. And so I think as part of the restorative justice movement and more of a modern criminal justice system, we should have police people doing the important police work while other people can help with domestic abuse and other problems in the household.
Okay. Is there anybody else available to answer that? If not, we will move on. Oh, I see a hand again. What's your first name? Bodenhorn?
My first name's Barbara.
Oh,
and that was
Barbara. Okay.
Yeah, that was
Barbara,
a mistake.
would
I
you-
don't know how to get the hand to go down, but I'm
Okay.
I'm happy.
Okay, it just went down.
Okay.
Gammon, our county controller just came on and she had let me know that she was gonna be late. So.
Okay. Let's see, March. All right, you're the county participants or candidates have already given their introduction. So since you are late arriving, we'd like you to do so, giving your name and the office you're running for. And everybody has answered the question, what were you, who were you most in high school? Or how would you designate yourself? Were you, can you see? A nerd, a hottie, a jock, a class clown, an intellectual, or a rebel? Okay, you have 2 minutes, if you would.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. I'm here at the county office building because I was in the Ways and Means Committee meeting, but I want to assure you that I'm actually on my personal laptop right now through my hotspot on my phone. I don't do campaign work on county property with county equipment, but I'm the county comptroller. I've been serving since the beginning of 2020. Thank you very much to everyone for sending me to do this work for you. I love what I do, and I was filling a vacancy when Elliot Auerbach went to the state. I was filling the remainder of his term, so for 2 years, and now I'm up for a 4-year term, and I'd really love your support. what I was in high school is, you know, I went to Onteora High School. I think I would qualify as a skitter geek. Yeah, like whatever that term means. No, really, I was somebody that floated between all worlds. And so, and I still think I'm that person. You know, I can talk to any person and get along with any group of people, at least best I can. And really try to find a way to relate to all people and all concerns. And as I travel the county, people are concerned about the same things. They want to live in a beautiful place. They want to be able to afford to live here. They want to be able to take care of their elders and their disabled family members, and they want opportunities for kids. And it doesn't matter, Shandaken, Shongum, Warsing to Woodstock, every town, every setting. I'm not saying people don't have additional concerns,
30
but
seconds.
those are the primary concerns. So I don't know if you guys know what county controllers do. I'm the fiscal watchdog of the county. So every claim for payment I'm looking at, and then we take a deep dive into certain areas and make recommendations about efficiencies for the county. One thing, and I'm going to go over just for a second over my time to tell you that one thing that we are looking at is racial inequities in Ulster County. And we have a panel of participants that have been advising us and making recommendations about which indicators we should look at. It probably won't come out until 2022, but even in our most recent emergency housing report that came out last week, we can see that Black families and individuals are overrepresented in the need for emergency housing. That's just one example of many other examples. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. Thank you for having me tonight.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. Do we have any questions for the comptroller?
I have a question for her.
Okay.
On the back of our ballot, we have 6 propositions. Which do you support and why?
I really do support the initiatives that are creating more transparency. I don't have a copy of the ballot in front of me, unfortunately, but there are some resolutions that have to do with requiring approvals from the legislature for certain changes to the county budget. I am in support of those resolutions. I think it will add to the transparency of what we are doing. And I don't have a copy of the ballot in front of me. I'm going to try to pull it up right now.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Okay, we'll come back to you and maybe you can more fully answer the question later. But are there any more questions for the county candidates? Okay, we're going to move on. All of you may have an opportunity to speak at the end, so we'll get back to you, and people may have further questions. So the next one is Warsing area, I believe.
The councilman, yeah.
Yeah. Who do we have there, Maude?
We got William Brown, we got Rogers, and we got Mike Machete. Is he on?
Yes, he's here.
Okay, so we got all of them on then.
Okay, Mike, Roger, and who else did you say? Mike, Roger, and
William Brown.
Okay, so Roger, you want to step up and give us your introduction, 2 minutes, please.
My name is Roger Buckwalter. I am the incumbent running. I've served just 4 years, I'm going for 4 more. As far as high school, I kind of looked at the categories that I kind of floated, kind of like March, from category to category. I did a lot of sports, but I was hardly a jock. Sometimes a class clown, a little bit more of a wise guy than a class clown, but very active, even active in politics there. I was the Students' Council Vice President as a senior, very involved in the music program. So I was very active in high school. Probably should have spent a little bit more time doing books, but I didn't. But hindsight's 20/20 now. We've made a lot of strides in the town of Warsing in the last 4 years. We've done some great things. We had a 0 tax increase last year. We're going far below 1% this year. We've done some great things. We have some beautiful projects happening now. The Nevele project, which is in the works, which looks fantastic for the town and the village. Crest Core Labs, that will be also in the village, working with the town. Big jobs coming. It's just a lot of things happening right now. We're building a new salt shed by the town barn that unfortunately hadn't survived anymore and had to be redone. The huge Wawarsing Water District that's going in, a $22 million project, totally funded by the New York City DEC. Not only are they putting in the lines, but they're actually running the lines from the main to the homes themselves and hooking up, which is almost
30
unprecedented.
seconds.
So there's a lot of good things happening. What's nice about this town board we have right now is there's 5 people on the town board. I'm not the town board. I'm a member of the town board. 5 of us working together, getting things done. I don't want to say we don't bicker. Sure, we have disagreements, but we work it out. We work together. We make good decisions that are good for the taxpayers, good for the people of Wawarsing. And I want to have a chance to continue to do that. Thank you.
Okay. Can we hear from Mike Machete next, please? Mike Machete? Yeah.
Yes, good evening, folks. I'd like to thank the NAACP for having us once again and inviting me tonight. We'll get past the funny stuff first. I was always the class clown. There's no other way to say it. I played some sports. I don't consider myself a jock. Was I the hottie? Yeah, that was all self-proclaimed, but I still want to think I was the hottie in school. But as you can tell, I always like to joke around. That was my thing. On a serious note, I was born and raised in Yonkers, New York. I've been coming up to the Catskills, Ellenville, for the last probably 35, almost 38 years. My parents used to come to the Nevele. I have friends of mine whose family owned property here. And from the first day I came, I always said I fell in love with this place and I would move here one day. I did move here, like I said, 28 years ago. I met my beautiful wife here. I have 3 beautiful children. And I've always been involved in the community from the first day I moved here. I tried to help out families when I came here. I was a member of the Elks Club. I helped to deliver meals to needy families. I've sponsored, myself, my wife has sponsored families over the years that just didn't have. That was my way of trying to give back, because I came from a very poor neighborhood and very poor family. So I felt that was the way to help. I got involved in the fire department. Always wanted to be a firefighter since I was a young kid. Most young boys want to do that or be policemen. And I joined the volunteer fire service here in Ellenville. I moved up in the ranks and I decided to try to get involved in the running of the fire department. So I was elected by the public as a fire commissioner, where I served 6 years. When I took over as commissioner of the fire department, we were in
30 seconds.
we were in very bad money, and I did what I could to try to keep the fire department afloat, which I was able to do. And from there, I became a president of my local fire company, where I still am for the last 12 years and been a volunteer member for the past 20. I was also asked by the village to sit on the village board as a trustee at a vacant seat. I did serve 1 year, which was a big thing for me. I felt very grateful to Mayor Kaplan for having me on the board. And while I was on, even though I was the underdog, I came in and fought hard to keep the taxpayers' money safe and to keep jobs in the village.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Bill Brown? Bill Brown?
Yes. Can you hear me?
We can hear, we can't see you.
There we go. Okay, my name is Bill Brown. I'm new to the political scene. I'm compassionate, dedicated, and hardworking. Lifelong resident of the town of Wawarsing, retired after 38 years with the Department of Correction. I serve on the Ellenville Regional Hospital Board of Directors, and I'm president of the Foundation Board for the Ellenville Regional Hospital. President of the Fentonkill Cemetery Association, past Citizen of the Year of the Noonday Club. But what I'm most proud of is I'm a co-coordinator of the food pantry at the Ellenville United Methodist Church, where we serve needy families on a weekly basis. Some of the things that I would like to see is the homeless situation addressed, and not just move the individuals, but everyone deserves a house with a roof over their head. I know many of these homeless people by name, dealing with them at the food pantry and helping them out. We have a lot of businesses coming into the area. We need workforce housing for these individuals to live, and they should be single family homes. We need to invest in the youth. The youth are our future. And many politicians of the town sometimes forget that the village
30 seconds.
is the town of Wawarsing. The individuals there are voting for the town officials. So we need to keep that in mind when we're dealing with issues within there. And in school, I was considered a class clown. And if elected, I'll work for everyone, regardless of who they are. I will work
Time.
on positive changes.
Okay, thank you so much. Are there questions?
I have a question,
Oh.
Gammy.
Oh, I'm
One second.
sorry, Mike Colella.
Yeah, there's a fourth candidate. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can't
great.
see you yet.
Yeah, let me turn my video on for you. Okay, great. So hi, my name's Mike Colella, and I'm running for town council this year. I'll start with the icebreaker. So in high school, I would say I qualified in all of those categories. I was a little bit of everything, but if I had to peg myself to one category, I would say that I was the intellectual. I always had a deep interest in learning as many things as possible. So I was always like very focused on my schoolwork and very focused in class, and I took my studies very, very seriously. Currently, I live in the village, and I've lived here for about 8 years. I was born and raised in the city in Queens, New York. I always liked coming upstate. It was a beautiful place. I knew that it was going to be for me in the future. So I went to college at SUNY New Paltz, and I studied business there. From there, I got a job. I worked in the federal prison industry for quite some time. So I found it a little interesting when the judges were speaking earlier about recidivism rates and things like that, because I kind of saw it firsthand in the federal prison. Recently, I now work at AutoZone as a manager, a commercial sales manager. And I also, in my free time, I do a lot of flying. I own an airport here at the Ellenville
30
Airport.
30 seconds.
So I like to do some of that. Definitely go ahead and ask me some questions about some of my policies and things that I'd like to implement. I definitely want to look into doing some things for the youth that, you know, the whole discussion before on the American Rescue Plan piqued my interest, because I think that some of that money could be used for programs for the youth and for the families and for the children in the community.
Okay, all right. Are there questions?
Yes,
I
Any
have a
hands
question.
raised?
Okay.
Who
Maud,
is that?
Maud.
All right, Maud.
My
we got-
question is to Rogers. And then I would forward on to the other. What changes, Rogers, what changes have you made since you took office?
Well, we've made some changes in our IT department. We've gone from a single person to a larger company. We have some personnel shifts that we're working on, moving people from one department to another to run more efficiently. We've just upgraded security in the town building immensely. We put cameras in, changed the alarm system for the safety of our people, and for the safety of the people that come in there. We have done upgrades to the airport. Our airport was starting to lack a little bit as far as lighting, runway lighting things. We've upgraded all that. Everything's back up to spec. And we're looking ahead. Like I said, we're looking ahead for these projects. We're just ready to vote on. We overloaded our whole building code to book about this thick. We've worked on it for months and months and months. We're finally ready to vote on it. And even when it's voted on, it's still a living, breathing entity, and it will be changed as we go.
I'd like to interrupt for a minute. What things have you initiated, Roger?
Well, like I said, I am not the town board. I am a member of 5 of the town board.
Of course, you
Uh,
all have to work it together,
We
but
all work together. We all come
what
up
have
with.
been your ideas and the things that you've come up with that
Well,
you?
we've upgraded, we've added a beautiful piece of equipment at the Lippman Park. I mean, I don't know if I can actually say that I could take credit for an individual project. I was very active in the changing of our IT department. I was very voiceful in our security measures at the town building. Like I said, what actually could I say I really did? I don't know, but we all work together. Some of us interject more than others, but we all work together. We're a working board. And I think that's very important for everyone to remember, that a town board is not 1, a town board is 5. And I don't like to take credit to say that I've done anything, because we have all done these things.
All right,
Okay.
thank you. We'll move on to the others, but I think Maud was trying to ask, when a new person comes in, they have ideas and they
Right.
and want to initiate things or whatever. And
Oh, yeah.
we'd like to see that. What's the fresh viewpoint?
I
Anything
realize
else,
that, but
Maud? No. We're
I
gonna move
want to
on.
hear, I want to hear from Bill, because I like what he said when he was doing his presentation. Now, how will you promote that if you're elected to the town board?
As
Like
far
the
as
thing you
the-
said
Bill Brown?
about the housings and the
as
and
far as the
homeless.
the homeless situation, I would work with the county and address some of the underlying problems that most of these homeless individuals have underlying issues, addiction problems,
Yes.
or mental health issues. And we need to take advantage of some of the resources that we have at the county level and get these individuals help. Workforce housing, when you look around the town, the village, there's a lot of buildings out there that are in need of renovation and are abandoned or whatever. We need to look at how we can take advantage of these structures and get them renovated and get individuals into these homes. As far as the youth, work with our recreation department that we have at the town, work with the village, and look at different organizations such as churches and businesses in town to see if there's a way that we could sponsor different children that can't afford to go to the camp, that can't afford to go to the local gymnasium, or maybe the dance classes or the acting classes or something like that. Reach out there, sponsor a kid, or as I would say, adopt them, and help them be able to take advantage of the different things that are out there.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Mike
can I
Colella?
just address that? Can I address that?
Yes, who's speaking,
You know,
please?
Last year, our summer rec
Who's
program
speaking,
handled.
please?
Rogers.
Okay,
Rogers
I'm
is
sorry,
speaking.
yes. Last year, our summer rec program had over 300 kids in it. We do offer scholarship programs to those who cannot afford the full price. This year, we were over 100, obviously because of COVID. We were a lot smaller, but 2 years ago, we have over 300 kids that we feed every day. And we do offer, so while people that are new have great ideas, I think once they come in, if elected, they see, well, I see a rose garden, but wait a minute, it's not always the way I would like it to be. And I think, Bill has some great ideas. If you would see, we've already done a lot of that.
okay, moving on. Is
If I
Mike
could just add
Colella?
something, Bill Brown, if I could just add something on there.
Yes.
Many of those children that get those meals, we provided through the church and People's Place of Kingston, working with the school district there to do the backpack program, which I was part of and handed out to a lot of these individuals also.
Okay. Uh, can we have some responses from any other people?
I'd like to say something, please.
Who is speaking,
Mike
please?
Machetta. Mike Machetta.
Okay, Mike Machetta.
Yes, thank you. As well as I understand about the situation with having things for the kids to do as far as activities, we need to step back and not just think so much about getting the kids to have activities and go to camp and play sports. We need to focus more on what these kids are going to do as far as work. There is, these kids have these problems where, oh, I don't want to work at Walmart. My friends might see me. I don't want to work at McDonald's. My friends might see me. The jobs they call them dead end jobs. They're not making a lot of money. I'm in the construction industry. I've been my whole entire life. I deal with contractors on a daily basis. And the biggest complaint, which I'm sure you've all heard, is what's happening to our trades in this country. We have no kids coming out of school getting involved in carpentry, plumbing, electrical, whatever it may be. If these kids had a leading hand to show them that they could make a very, very good living getting involved in the trades, they can succeed in life without having to go to school. School's not for everybody. College wasn't for me, and I got involved in construction. That led my path in life. There's a lot of jobs out there right now that are available that they can't be filled. We have contractors on a daily basis begging us for names for kids to get involved in programs where they want to start a mentorship program where you can get a kid in high school or just coming out of high school to be an apprentice, to get them to learn. The kid may not want to go to school and get involved in books anymore. It's not for everybody. They have hands-on experience. They can make a very, very good living. So, I mean, I'm all for having kids have programs after school with sports and so forth. Again, I'm a father of 3. I went through the same thing. But after the activities, we kind of don't have anything else for these kids as far as jobs. And that's what I believe should be the main focus. Thank you.
Okay. We have people with their hands raised, and let me
Uh,
just say that I'm glad to see that the youth is being brought up because it's the last category that politicians seem to want to focus on.
Yes,
And one thing, the suicide rate for kids has gone up. This pandemic has caused a lot of problems for adults and children and it's being seen now in the school, etc. And 6 weeks in the summer doesn't cut it. We need more activities here in Ellenville. All right, let me go first to
I agree.
Madeline, then Gary Fuller, and then March. Okay.
Okay, so my phone died, so I wanted my question to come after Bill spoke. But I don't know if somebody asked this while I was trying to get back on, but so I would be curious to know what these other candidates who are running for the same office as Mr. Brown, what is your plan for the homeless? What ideas do you have for the homeless in Ellenville?
Do you
Well,
have it directed to any particular candidate?
I mean, well, I would say to Roger, to Mike, to I forgot the other gentleman's name.
It's Mike. It's 2 Michaels.
Okay, so both
Yeah.
Mikes.
Well,
Okay,
Michael,
let's
Mike
have
Colella,
Michael Colella, and then
Yes,
Michael Moschetti. Okay.
actually, if you don't mind, I would like to talk. I didn't get a chance to respond to the youth part, so I would like to talk a little bit about that if possible first.
Talk about them both. Thank you.
Okay, I will talk about them both. So, I'm going to start off with an actual experience story. So, during my campaigning for when I was trying to get nominated for the different party lines, I did some walking around the village and was knocking on doors. So I knock on the door and a woman answers, and I, talk to her a little bit, and she asks me a question. Or I ask her a question. I say, "What is it that you want from the town? What is it that you're concerned about?" And she says to me that I have a mixed race son. He's a teenager, about 16 or 17, and I'm concerned that whenever he goes out, that with today's climate and everything you see on the news, that he's either gonna end up on drugs or end up in trouble with the law. And, that I took that very, that's not like a joke. That's a very serious problem that when you go around, people are thinking a parent's first concern is that my child is going to end up killed or on drugs, being on the street. That's that's a big problem. That's not what I want to hear as a candidate or as a town resident. So we really need to address that. It's gone too long where it hasn't been addressed. And we actually need a physical youth facility, a community youth center, where we can kind of do like the above all of what the other candidates were mentioning. There should be after school programs, summer camps, resume writing workshops, mock job interviews. Like I said, if you've seen some of my literature I'd put out there, I want to do some tours of the Ellenville airport. I'm trying to become a flight instructor currently, so I want to start teaching people how to become pilots. It's a program that I want to put into the Ulster County Community College, and it would be fully funded by student loans and student grants. So even like low-income people could go into an interesting career. So, you know, certain people would volunteer at the community youth center and get these kids to show them that there's a lot more to life, that you don't just have to run the streets and get in trouble. And another thing, I think, because I grew up in the city, and down there, the NYPD, they have the PAL, the Police Athletic League. And that's where these cops come to the schools and come to these camps, and they talk to the kids. They talk to the 17-year-olds and 18-year-olds, and they form a relationship. The police forms a relationship with the teenagers and the youth. And I think that the Ellenville Police Department would be more than happy to do that. And I just think that's a great idea. And those are like types of steps that we have to start taking. And there's really no more time to waste. It has to be done now. So if there is money in the budget from the American Rescue Plan to do something like that, we really need to get on that immediately. And I know that there's some other candidates that are interested, like Mike Machetta is definitely interested in doing some things like that. So it would be helpful if we had him around. And then also Cassie has been wanting to do like a community youth center for a long time. In terms of the homelessness, that's a tough one. Might be one of the hardest. I admire Bill for trying to tackle that, but that's a hard one to tackle because a lot of the homeless people have substance abuse issues and people that have like addictions. You have to try to address that first before you can really get them off the street. I suppose you could look into some housing for them, which would definitely be beneficial. But ultimately, it's like you can't really get them to remain in housing or get them to get jobs until you deal with either the substance abuse issue or the mental health issue that's causing them to be in that position in the first place, causing them to be homeless. So really, probably you'd have to look at it from a lot of different angles, but definitely one of the big steps is you'd have to somehow get a treatment facility in that does mental health and substance abuse. That, or just piggyback off of Ellenville Regional Hospital and just try and amplify their program and bring it, like outreach it to the homeless and get them into there.
This
All right,
Christine, this is Christine speaking. I just want to say, I know I've been told not to time the answer part, but
But it's too long.
we do have time issues here. So I'm not sure. I'm kind of in a dilemma, but we
Okay.
need to keep it moving.
I
Yeah,
hear
I'm
you.
sorry. I'm trying. I had to do two there in one, so I apologize.
Okay.
We got
Uh,
other candidates. I don't
yeah.
know, is the town supervisors on that's running? Terry,
Yes, I'm here.
the other guy, he's Eric, is he on?
All right, let's just have the last two questions from Reverend Fuller and March, and then we'll move on to our the ones that we've missed. I haven't heard from Susan Nyby, and who else?
I think she's
Supervisor.
the only town village trustee that's running.
Okay.
I don't think
I'm
TJ
here as
Brewster.
well.
We have
My name's
Jamie Harper
Jamie
also.
Harper.
So I'm ready to ask my question.
Okay, let's have from Gary Fuller.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I appreciate you. I've heard some talk about housing and workforce development. And I think that those are going to be the key issues here for not only for the town, but more particularly for Ellenville, in light of the fact that we have these businesses coming in. My my question is two-part. So have any of you looked at the workforce readiness that we have here in Ellenville? Those folks who are able-bodied and able to work between 18 and 30 years old. And have you thought about putting together a workforce development program so that we can feed these businesses and industries that come in? Because if we don't do that, they will bring in their own people, and the majority of those people will close out any opportunity for Ellenville folks or town folks to have job opportunities again. And I like Mr. Brown's focus on workforce housing, but before we have workforce housing, we've got to have a workforce.
Okay, can we move to
And
the
so what
answer, please? Bill Brown, I think he's directing that to you.
And to all of the candidates, but
Yeah.
Bill Brown first.
All right. Bill,
We'd have
did you?
to- It's really,
State my question.
I understand the question there, but it's a difficult one to answer. We definitely do need the workforce training. And I'm not sure at this point where we would be able to get that from, but I am more than willing to look and to research and make it happen, because it is very important to this area to get our people employed before we have people from other areas coming here and our population is not being taken care of.
Okay. I'm going to move on to March. Could you ask your question, please? It's 7:30, just to let everybody know. So we're running out of time. That's why I'm asking you to move on.
I
Yes.
wanted to quickly get back on the question of ballot initiatives. I have them all in front of me. I can tell you that I am in support of all of the ballot initiatives. There's really one ballot initiative in particular, which has to do with county finances. And it would require the Ulster County Legislature to approve changes that are made as budget amendments when they are to move money out of the personnel line. But I just want to say that I think the other initiatives, which are enacting redistricting reform, incorporating a right to clean air, water, and a healthful environment into the state constitution, allowing same-day voter registration, allowing absentee voting no matter what, and changing the court jurisdiction for New York City. Those are all really positive things, especially the ones that are focused around voting rights. I think it's going to enhance people's ability to go to the polls. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mark.
All right, I'm going to move to Susan Nyby. She hasn't had a chance to speak yet. And Susan, if you would introduce yourself, and you have 2 minutes, please. Susan, where are you?
You need to unmute yourself.
She was here.
All right. Is there
You wanna-
anybody? Is
you
there
wanna-
anybody else that has not spoken yet?
Yes,
Have we missed-
Supervisor Terry Howe.
Oh, Terry Helk. Okay, please. 2 minutes. Thank you.
It
Introduction.
might be three, but bear with me. So good evening, fellow NAACP members and guests. Madam Bruce, President of the local chapter, my wife, my beautiful wife, Rosa Elena, and I have been fortunate to be members of the NAACP for a number of years. We have 3 daughters with 6 wonderful grandchildren. And I've always felt honored to represent the town on Martin Luther King Day and any other days of celebration. I've enjoyed my brother's keepers with Mr. Frank Mulhern. I'd like to start out by saying experience matters. During my 4 terms as a council person, I've been assigned and served in most of all the department's liaisons by the supervisor. Experience enabled me to step into the town supervisor's role with the experience needed to move the town forward. So when you're talking about taxes, under my administration, the tax increase for 2019 was 0.42. 0.13 in 2020, 0.3 in 2021, and we're targeting a 0% tax increase this year. So we have consistently gone down, and it started at a low number as it is. Now, when I say experience matters, we've consistently been under the 2 property tax cap. We had the DEP aqueduct leaking and Wawarsing, and that project has been around since 2012. In 2018, under my administration, we got that jump started, and we're going to be finished with it next year. $20 million project, running a water line
30 seconds.
from Cohasset to Nabanock, a $750,000 Nabanock sewer grant, manhole upgrade that we did. Staunch supporters of all first responders. We completed an entire water district upgrade with water line replacements in Cohasset. We have a $2.5 million federally funded stream restoration that we're finishing up now in the Beerkill, and then in the village is doing the same thing. We've signed on to a DEC certified climate smart community. We've improved our communications, as Roger mentioned, with the new Facebook and YouTube pages, and completely upgraded our IT system. But one second, moving forward, I believe I'm the right person to manage the $875,000 in rescue stimulus funding, the right person to continue to work with Somerset Partners, a $400 million project in Ellenville to bring exciting
Double time.
transformation to property, $10 million
Okay.
sewer district, and actively support the $10 million for a
Okay.
downtown
We
revitalization
have to
grant.
cut in. Thank you.
Okay.
Listen, Terry,
Yes.
is your only job as a supervisor to take care of projects such as you've mentioned? What other areas of concern does a supervisor do?
Well, the supervisor by statute is the chief financial officer, so I handle the budget as well as with the other board members. But also I run the day-to-day activities or the day-to-day operations of every department. I don't personally go through that, but I'm in charge of every day's operation. So that could be the highway one day. It depends on what's going on. Right now, we're working on the salt shed. We're working on a number of projects that I just mentioned in my intro. But the role of the supervisor is to supervise the town, which is the town hall, the accounting office, and all the departments, and the projects that go with that. And also, I'd like to say that I've listened to a lot of the councilmen's, concerns and ideas, and I really like some of them. I like a lot of them. So, as a supervisor, if I'm elected again, I'll work with anybody and everybody and consider each and every idea that any of the councilmen have. We have 4 council people along with the supervisor, so it's a 5-member board. And I think I've answered your question there. When you asked the initial question, Gabby, about what am I, a jock or this or that, I always was into sports, and I still am at an older age. I can run and all that stuff, but I don't look at myself as a jock. In high school, I actually didn't like the word jock. It was athletics. I was involved with the Boy Scouts. I was involved in Little League. And I was also like to be a student at the same time. So
Time.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Are there any questions for Terry Houck? Anybody?
Terry, if you re-elected, what changes that you will make for the coming year?
Well, one of the, not the changes, but we're going to be completing that water district project, which is a $20 million project, which is going to involve 280 homes in the Warsing from Nabanock to Cohasset. It's going to have actually, when that's finished, we'll have Ellenville connected to Nabanock, which will be connected to Warsing, which will be connected to Cohasset. They're going to be all individual districts, but we'll have the opportunity to utilize water from Ellenville all the way through to Cohasset, which is that's a big deal. That's a very good thing. The Neville project, a very short overview of that is it's a $400 million project where they're going to make a boutique hotel. They're going to have 45 to 55 single family homes that are year round, 3, 4, and 5,000 square feet homes, which are high-end homes. But they're going to dress up the old Beverly Falls with some spa facilities. They're going to have some condos connected to the daily hotel space, which is going to bring property taxes to the town, which helps the tax levy, and we're going to have sales tax from the businesses, and we're going to have a number of people working there. When the Cresco plant, which is the cannabis hydroponic growing on the Schrade property, everybody knows that property had been used for General Master Trade, hydro, and it's been difficult to get a business in there, but we're all in on this. The entire board is 5 to zip on making this happen. I've heard anywhere from 200 jobs, 300 to 400 jobs. I've even heard 700 jobs. Depends on how many people or how big the square footage is. As of late, it's about 360,000 square feet, which they are talking about. They would be manufacturing it, starting off with medical marijuana. The town board has the option of opting out of what they call dispensaries or consumption rooms. Consumption rooms are like, I guess, alcohol bars. That would be a similar fashion. The town board has until the end of the year to opt out of that if they don't want that in the village or the town. What we would be losing on that would be tax revenue. There's a 13% tax from the entire process, and 9 of it goes to the state, and 3 of it goes to the municipality itself, and then 1 goes to the county. So between the Neville and this and the Crisco, I mean, when have you heard or have you seen this type of growth in the last 10 or 15 years? I don't think you've seen it. And if anybody can tell me.
Okay, Terry, I'm gonna have to cut you off, but I would like to ask a question about the marijuana is coming to town. And they're bringing most of their staff. But what I want to ask is they keep saying jobs, jobs, jobs. But what does that mean? Jobs for the worker bees at minimum wage? Are there any jobs, that you can rise in the company? Is that projected?
Yes, that is projected. And we've had between those 2 projects that I mentioned, town board members that are presently on the board, Roger, I mean, he could absolutely say that I'm working like 8 days a week on those 2 projects. But in the Cresco Labs project, they're talking about anywhere from, they mentioned from a low-end position to a scientist would be at the average salary of about 55,000. This Sabrina Noah is the senior vice president. She's out of California, but she was just here last week, and we met with we had a greet and meet where they met the fire chiefs, they've met the school, Lisa Wiles, they've met Vince Napoli, they've met visited business people in the communities. They appear to be very interested in reaching out to the communities. I know when Pat Ryan came and talked about the, actually, I think he came down here for an announcement, but at this point, that company really hasn't signed on and bought the property. They've come to our town planning board and they've listened to the town, they've presented some questions to our town planning board as well as the Neville as well. But to answer your question, yes, there are very, very lucrative positions in that field. I had to wrap my head around it to begin with because I'm not as young as I used to be, and I really wasn't into that when I was a child. But,
Terry, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to cut you off.
That's fine.
I don't mean to be mean, but we must wrap this up. I'm
we
going to ask
from Susan.
Okay,
yes, you have to hear from Susan.
Susan, and then we're going to have the sign-offs in which everybody will
don't forget we have Jamie Harper who's running with me.
I'm here.
Okay, then we'll do that. I'm so sorry.
All right, Gabby, thank you very much.
Susan, and then Jamie. Okay.
Okay, Jamie, do you want to go first?
Susan, you're on camera. Please go now.
Okay. All right. I was fortunate to get a job at the Neville and needed a house. So I was fortunate to buy the Collins house on 46 Warren Street, fell in love with the village, chartered our first Kiwanis Club in 2000. And then in 2001, we also sponsored our Key Club. And when everybody's talking about youth, we have been fortunate to keep the Key Club going. I personally oversaw the building of the Burn Road Park as a playground, and I know the importance of our youth. And what we really do, and I totally agree, if people don't remember from what I have heard from people, there was a youth center right where the mural is, and it was Ed Jacobs had it. And I know people that are in the Woodridge Kiwanis Club, and she said it was a great place to go. They could hang out, they could do whatever. What we really need is, number one, we need a place for our youth to be where they can hang out. I grew up in Monroe, and we have what we called a teenage nightclub, and it was with the Knights of Columbus. But we more or less ran, I mean, we had a board, but it was supervised. We need a place for our children and our youth to do simple things.
30
They need
seconds.
to learn how to dress for an interview. They need to know that maybe, as Mike Machetta said, everybody says, go to college, go to college. There's trades that they can learn. And that area right now is hurting so bad for jobs. I'm working at the Residence Inn in Middletown, and we can't find people to cook or, and I think all part of it is that they need to know how to dress. They need to know how to, and we have a great school dress, and we have a huge business community here. And I think there's so many mentoring possibilities for our youth.
Time.
Okay.
Yeah, time. Can we move on to, is it Jamie? Who is the last person? I'm sorry.
Jamie.
Jamie. May we hear from her, please?
Yes. Hello. Hi, everybody. How are you doing tonight? So my name is, can you hear me now?
Yes.
I was covering my microphone. My name's Jamie Harper. I have been a resident in the village for 7 years. Before that, I was a lifetime resident in Walker Valley. I am 27 years old. I have 2 children that attend the Ellenville Central School District. They are 5 and 7. Like I said, I'm a registered nurse. I work out in Harris at the Center for Discovery. And this is my first go about at this. I'm a young woman. I am a nurse. I have skills of compassion, due diligence.
What office are you running for?
I am running for the Village of Ellenville Village Trustee along with Sue Nivey.
Okay.
So I would like to make some changes. I don't know all of the logistics. I'm a first-time runner. I'm willing to learn the ins and outs and show up and be there. My main concern is the future for our children. It's really important that we have a safe and successful community for our children to be longtime residents as well. And I would like to promote more activities. Like Sue Nivey said, I would like to instill leadership qualities. Attending Pine Bush, we had so many leadership academies. We had law and leadership. We had business management. We had accounting leadership programs. That's where I spent my summers. We got to get out of school early in exchange for them. We worked with the Navy. We worked with the Army. There was a lot of opportunity. A youth center, I definitely is something I agree with and support. Having a place for these children to get off of the streets, to do successful things and engage in positive influence is a major thing for our village. It is a beautiful.
I have to stop you. Okay, now we have to do a quick rundown with 30 seconds from everybody with a sign off. And I just must say, okay, can you mute yourself, please?
Jamie.
Mute. Okay. Somebody needs to mute. Okay, thank you. All right, finally. All right then. I've heard a lot of we need somebody to do, to initiate, to plan, to implement and get it done. Okay, if we could just start at the top of my list, I have, Susan, can you give a last remark in 30 seconds? And please include the office you're running for. Unmute, unmute. Unmute.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, go.
I'm running for the office of village trustee. I personally believe that with my background with sales and marketing executive, I have revenue management. I think we need a fresh voice. I think we need some independence. And I think we need to really have some open government in the village of Ellenville. And by doing that, I will oversee it. I will make attendance my priority, which I think has been a concern. And I'm just enthusiastic, and I know I can make a difference.
Thank you. Kelly. And then Roger comes next. Kelly, is she there? Yeah.
Yes, I'm here. Kelly Palinkas Greer. I'm running for Ulster County Legislator District 14. You've all made a lot of good points, and one that especially important to me and to my platform is that it's fine to have programs, but not if nobody knows about them and not if they're not accessible. So what I will do when elected is to make sure that, first of all, that people know about the programs that we do have, and that people can get to the programs that we do have.
Okay, thank you, Kelly. I'm sorry, but I must go on. It's
okay.
Roger and then Kevin next. Oh, those are Supreme Court. Then it's Michael Coelho next. Okay, Roger and then Michael. Unmute everybody who is going to speak.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
Go.
Roger Buckholder, I'm running for re-election, Town of Wawarsing Town Council. I've heard a lot of good ideas today, a lot of good things. I think the one thing that everyone is missing, that this is not a town problem, a village problem, it's an everybody problem. The village needs to work with the town, with the school. So much of this falls on our schools. We all need to work together. When it's an individual project, it's not going to happen. The more we work together, the more we can get things done. Thank you.
Okay, Michael, and then March is gone, and then Mike Machete. Mike and Mike. Mike Coelho first.
All right, so I'm Mike Colella, and I'll be running for, town council. There were two really good questions that I heard. One, someone had expressed about they want high-paying jobs to come into the village and town, and the second was workforce development and actually training our youth to get into those positions. So I do have some really good ideas for that that we could do at the Schrade facility and at the airport. And there's also, it's just partnering with like Ulster County Community College and Ulster BOCES to train those kids for those positions.
Okay, thank you. Mike, second Mike, Mike Machete.
Mike Machete, running for town council, town of Wawarsing. Great ideas tonight. Thanks again, everybody, for coming. Thank you to the NAACP. With my background in construction and financing, I think I can do a great job for the town, bringing everything together, projects, overseeing the projects that are coming in, and also my background in the fire department for emergency management, which we couldn't touch on tonight, but I'd love to touch on a little more. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Bill Brown, and then, oh God, Chris. Okay, Bill Brown.
Bill Brown. Hello.
Yes.
You there?
Can't see you. Okay.
Bill Brown, running for Wawarsing Town Council. Compassionate, dedicated, hardworking. If elected, I will work with the village, the town board, and anybody else in the community to bring about positive changes for our town.
Okay, thank you so much. Chris Hewitt. And then Lopez. All right. I forgot the first name. Lopez is the last name.
Craig.
Craig, yes. Craig Lopez, are you on? If not, we'll move to Jamie. Somebody.
I think
Jamie?
Jamie's working. I think she,
Okay. Chris? Or Craig? Any of those?
They're not
Okay,
on.
we've reached 7:54 and we're at the end of our thing. It's been an informative meeting and I do apologize for cutting people off and rushing you, but we're stopping at 8 and I just want to thank everybody for their attendance and we're going to have final remarks from Maud Bruce. Maud? Where is everybody?
Gabby, turn it
Okay.
out again.
Maud has to go to the bathroom. Oh, here she is. Maud, we're having final remarks. Unmute. Unmute.
I just want to thank everybody for participating tonight. And I wish all of you success.
Early voting and for
Early
them to
voting.
get out.
Oh, I forgot. I got early voting. I'm sure all the candidates know about early voting, but if anybody else on, early voting start October the 23rd, which is Saturday, and go through October the 31st. And the town of Wawarsa will be voting at the Ellenville Public Library on 40th Center Street. And the general election is November the 2nd. And the poll will be open on November the 2nd from 6 a.m. until 9 p.m. So I encourage all of you to take your soul to the poll and vote. Thank you. Thank you for coming on.
Okay,
don't forget to turn the ballot over.
Yeah, don't forget to turn the ballot over. We got a proposition. We got 6 back there.
6 of them.
6. So we need to turn it over and vote.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, and I want to say thank you to the Civic Engagement Committee and the Civic Engagement Committee. So, you know, they're the ones that go out and register people to vote and keep get people involved in voting. So we have to say a special thanks to them, and the candidates should thank them because they're revving up voters to vote in the next election. It's nonpartisan, and you know, we do our best. All right, everybody have a good night and thank you for coming.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maud.
And
Good
thank
night,
you,
folks.
Gammy.
Stay
Thank
safe,
you,
stay
Gammy.
healthy.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Gammy, you did a great job.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.